This is the life. Soaking up the rays. I just need a little more sunblock. This stuff doesn't seem to be a high enough polygon count. Oh! Hey gang, welcome to Maggie Readaville. I'll bet you're here to get the inside scoop on this month's OPM, right? Well, so much for my vacation. This month we've got all sorts of new features for you discriminating gamers out there. First up, Seattle. We went to the city of much rain to get the behind-the-scenes scoop on Draken, the Ancient's Gates. Then we hung out with the SOCOM US Navy SEALs development team to show you how they went all out to bring you the hottest combat game ever. Besides all that, we've got the usual stash of awesome demos, cool moves, and downloads to keep you busy until next month. Well, time to get back to some warm fun in the sun. Reload simulation. Not another programming bug. This is gonna take a while to fix.
Zog is close. I almost feel his presence.
What do you say you and I go cruising?
Rule number 1, I don't date animals.
My aching head.
Walk it off, tough guy!
Can't seem to catch a single fish in this river.
Woo! Maybe it's your breath.
There are legends from times long past when the world was united by an alliance between dragon and man. Though the Order held strong for centuries, it was destroyed by the Dark Union. The dragons of the Order withdrew into timeless slumber. It was then that the warrior Rin discovered the resting place of the dragon Erok. Together they drove back the forces of the Dark Union. Little did they know, their struggles had only just begun.
The dragon! It's returned!
The Desert Lords have enslaved my own people. We can call the dragons back to our world. But we cannot do it ourselves.
I cannot wait. The call must be answered.
But those are just legends. We will deal with the woman.
Well, the story takes off from Draken 1 where Rin and Eric just got through a large battle with the Dark Union, and it starts out Rin's brother's been killed.
So Rin is at her village, she's burying her villagers, kind of saying a final goodbye.
It is the grand summons of the Order.
The Order?
I must answer it, Rin.
And then Erok receives a Grand Order of the Flame summons where he is requested to go aid the city of Sardana, which is the last bastion of good people, and they're at war with the Desert Lords.
A Desert Lord!
Turns out there's another force of the Dark Union, which are called the Desert Lords, and they've come back and are starting to terrorize the world of Draken again.
Your main goal is to open the 4 gates of the Order, and there are these magical portals that allow people to teleport a long distance, so it connects sort of civilized locations.
You don't really know what they are at first, but they are a key to awakening all of the dragons of the Order, which are dormant, just like Erok was.
Your real goal is to be getting through these lands and to be opening these gates in hopes of raising Malashe, who is sort of the mother of all dragons. And she can resurrect all the dragons of the Order to take on and defeat Jasad, who's the main bad guy.
Only a dragon of the Order can open the ancient gates, so Erok is the one who must open these gates and save the world.
In those ancient times, the dragons took on fantastic shapes and sizes, each differing from one another.
We wanted to create dragon races, or dragon types, that just weren't your stereotypical dragons. We wanted to place a dragon in a world and say, what would it look like if it evolved in that area? So we have different types.
Pro dragons, there's a standard form and an ice version, which shoots a seeking ice blast. Then we have bat dragons.
Dragons that dwell on cliffsides, so they look more like birds and they perch. Erok is more of your classic dragon. We wanted people to be able to recognize him as, you know, a real powerful classic dragon that he is.
He's one of the dragons of the Order, which are a series of very magical old dragons which have a lot of abilities, and they're very intelligent.
It's time we left this place. Nothing but ghosts remain here now.
Erok is your partner in the game. The Knight of the Order of the Flame is bound spiritually with the dragon, so when the dragon feels pain, the Knight feels pain as well. So if one dies, the other one dies, and that's how they kind of get their beyond human strength. But then Erok also has his own sort of AI. When he is left to his own devices, he will fly around, he'll defend himself, he'll defend you, so if someone starts attacking you, he'll shoot his fireballs.
I gotcha!
The dragons command both land and sky, and you shall have to learn to do the same.
One of the things we wanted to do with the controls is to make it as seamless as possible between Rin and Erok, because that's obviously the biggest challenge. You're running around on the ground. Game mechanic is somewhat different than when you're flying.
First and foremost, for the control scheme, we wanted it to be easy, but also be involved enough that people who play the game more will get more involved with the controls and use them more in a kind of an expert mode. You can lock on and engage a character and then use more of the expert D-pad controls to pull off maneuvers that you wouldn't be able to do just using the analog stick.
The journey will contain great adventures, it's true, but you must also learn and grow if you hope to be victorious.
The skill system is, I would say, a role-playing game light. You have the ability, after you kill creatures, to get experience, very much like a traditional role-playing game. As you gain experience, eventually you go up a level. Once you go up a level, you get a skill point that you can apply to either her melee skill, her projectile combat skill, or her magic skill.
Melee attacks range from things like short swords to axes to long swords to magical swords that have different abilities.
If you choose to do the projectile attack, you can go into bow mode, and you can just do a standard sort of rapid fire bow, or you can go into sniper mode, which brings you into first person mode where you have a reticle and you can target people from a distance.
We used something before with magic where it was attached to an item, but we wanted Rin to actually learn how to do magic. So we've got a really nice spell system where you actually, as the player, learn how to create shapes in air to generate the power, and you will learn that as you go through the game. You'll pick up skills from other people, so there's an interaction that you get.
There's 16 different spells, each with 3 different levels. So if you specialize in magic, you can get more powerful spells that are really devastating.
So the first level fireball you shoot only does 10 points of damage or something like that, small explosion. If you power that up to level 3 and you throw a fireball, it creates a huge blast radius where you're taking out multiple creatures at once. So it really does pay to specialize for Rin.
Become wise in the ways of both magic and combat, because your foes are perilous and legion.
We have a large range of enemies in this game. We brought back some old favorites from Draken 1, which we call them Hugs, which are orcs, or these little sort of comical creatures that are, about half the height of Rin, but they're kind of stocky and buff, and they do lots of rolls and things like that. And then one of my favorite creatures is the primitive giant, Yeti, which is these massive 40-foot tall giants that kind of lumber around the ground, and their attack is they'll pick up anything off the ground that they can throw and huck it at you. And or if you're close enough, they'll pick you up and throw you across the world.
One of the coolest enemies is a 2-headed sea beast kind of thing. He's so large that you end up sort of weaving in and out of his heads as he shoots these flying magical bolts, and you have to attack his head when he's most vulnerable. He's just so huge that it's kind of unusual.
So there's a very wide array of enemies in this game. I think we have something like 35 unique enemy NPCs in the game.
Rin and Erok are back in a brand new adventure. Travel across many different lands. Build your combat and magic skills. Take control of Erok to rule the skies and save Dragon.
SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs is a military action strategy game in which you play a team of SEAL Special Forces that goes out and has to rid the world of terrorism.
I think it differs from some of the other action games that are out there in terms of the degree, it depends on real-life strategies used by the Special Forces and the fact that it depends so much on team play as opposed to individual play.
I think the important part of SOCOM is the fact that it's not just a run-and-gun, shoot-'em-up style game. It's actually about you and your Navy SEAL team of 4 going carefully through an environment in performing objectives to fulfill a mission. So rather than typical run around and shoot everything, it's really half about stealth. The way the Navy SEALs tend to operate is that they want to be stealthy for as long as they can, and then when they get to their objectives, they try to accomplish it as quick as possible.
SOCOM was created in cooperation with U.S. Navy Special Warfare Command. It was really important to the Navy that if we were going to create a game based on the U.S. Navy SEALs, that we would create an authentic experience.
One of the most rewarding aspects of the game has been able to work directly with the SEAL teams. We've been fortunate in terms of having the cooperation from the Admiral on down, and have had a wide range of access to the SEAL resources.
We have a small block of C4 we're going to be using. It's double capped, double primed, 6-minute time fuse. Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
We've had access to a number of people on the teams to ask technical questions.
What I would do is I may have it rigged a different way.
Okay.
Why normally, I might have it attached to my web gear.
We've used SEALs in motion capture work.
I think so. Yeah, that's pretty good. SEAL FP walk. Ready. Go. This is like the raw mocap data. I just grabbed just the part of the move that's actually going to go into the game.
They allowed us access to certain things in order to help the authenticity, like having us record real weapons on their weapon ranges.
We've gone, I think, to a new level as far as simulating the material properties in the game and how they react to weapons. They're fairly accurate with respect to range and accuracy settings, penetration through different types of materials.
Drywall. Bottles.
So if you go into a world and there's some flimsy wooden crate or something, it's really not a great idea to go hide behind that, because obviously certain weapons would go right through that.
We have had SEALs come in and reservists, which we've used for face scans, which have found their way with camouflage on them, which of course helps disguise identity. We actually have the SEAL faces on characters in the game.
So it's fairly accurate and sort of amazing to think about, wow, this really makes the game feel real.
The lighting in SOCOM isn't just there to be pretty. Shadow equals cover, while bright light equals exposure. So the beginning player will very quickly learn that staying in the shadows is a good thing, because enemies don't see you as often. One of the really cool things about the lighting in SOCOM is that you can manufacture your own darkness by shooting out lights in the environment as you move through it.
So you may walk into a building, and if there's a bunch of enemies in there, you may decide that the right play is to get out a silence weapon, blow out all the lights, so it basically goes nearly pitch dark. Then enemies won't see you, and then you'll put on your night vision goggles to amplify the light, and then you'll get a real advantage over the enemies, and you can run around and shoot them. Because our engine was really developed to try to support gameplay, when we started working with the Navy SEALs, we found out that really they do a lot of stealth navigation through an environment. And so the clutter was there to support the fact that they need a lot of cover and concealment.
So if we want to fill up a valley with very tall grass, we do that. And all this clutter can actually hide multiple characters, but it can also be animated, like the grass can be blowing in the wind, for instance. When you combine this with shadow, suddenly you have characters who are very nearly invisible to the enemy until they choose to reveal themselves by sudden movement. And this is very like what the SEALs do in the real world. They're
completely invisible to the enemy until it's too late.
I think some of the early games out on the PlayStation 2 didn't really investigate all the different ways you can actually accomplish anti-aliasing to smooth out the jaggies. We actually blend multiple lines of the frame buffer, so we basically eliminate the jaggy look. It makes it really nice and smooth, so you don't have anything detracting from the game with edges crawling around. Because we have very large worlds that need to be textured, as well as enemy players and our own SEAL team, we really wanted to be able to have fine, detailed textures. To accomplish that, we came up with a dynamic texture mapping capability where we store textures in the system memory, so when you zoom in on a face or an enemy, you don't see a blurry mess of a player. It's basically very detailed. You can see little details on their shirts, little blood spots. If you actually have shot them a few times, you'll see the blood where it's hit on the player. So it's just real nice detail on the environment as well as the world.
One of the innovative things about SOCOM is that you can use a USB headset, which is packaged with the game, to command your teammates and have them complete objectives for you or to perform specific actions.
Team, hold position.
You can tell them to move to any place you want, or you can have them take up sniper positions or place demolition charges.
Able, deploy frag.
Or you might say, Bravo, stealth to target, and that will tell the Bravo team to actually, in a sneaky way, go to a certain place that you've instructed them.
And it actually really immerses you in the game, because you're actually talking to these guys now, and they're following your instructions, and they give you audio feedback as well.
Right, we'll take it from here.
We checked out a lot of speech recognition systems, and I think the one that we found actually is really quite good. I mean, basically it's a system that doesn't need to be trained.
Able, follow.
I think it's in the high 90% recognition rate. I have no problems with it. And in multiplayer, the headset is used for voice chat.
Hey, Newt, don't cross the water. You won't make it across. Oh! Dead man walking.
Because it is a team game, it really adds another interesting level to the game, the fact that you can actually plan and talk to your players.
Watch the sniper. Eric, where's the sniper? Akron, I need a target. They're bunkered up in the sniper tower. They got a 60 gunner down below. He scoped. He's down.
Nice shot.
All right, boys, we're out of here.
I think we're doing a lot of things that haven't been done before. We have this dynamic route planning, so when the enemies decide they need to get to a certain location, they won't just go through scripted paths. So as they're running along, they will say, okay, I'm here, where's the enemy team? And they actually will try to find places where they won't be seen as well. Another part of the game is when you are trying to stay stealthy, you may decide to use your silenced weapons as long as possible. But even though you kill them with your silenced weapons and you leave bodies out there, those actually leave traces that the SEALs have been there.
So for this reason, we've given you the ability to actually pick up and remove corpses from the field. And then you can hide them in shadow or in camouflage and grass or foliage.
There's basically 5 awareness levels, and all of the enemies, with a few exceptions, start at, they're generally unaware. They're just going about their duties, whether it be patrolling or just kind of hanging out. If they hear a noise or something, then they get their awareness raised basically 1 notch to a suspicious state. And then beyond that, then there's a general awareness, directional awareness, and then the full one is specific awareness, where they really know where you're at. And then if they lose sight of you, then they'll basically hunt in that direction for you. Again, trying to anticipate where you've gone.
So once you've set them into an alarm state, your chances of survival diminish by the minute. Because one alarmed enemy will tell his friends, who will tell his friends, who will tell his friends, and pretty soon you have an entire army against you.
I think we've gone a long ways for a console game. It's a team game, so there's basically team styles of play. It's broadband support, so we can have up to 16 players, up to 8 on 8 for team style of games. For multiplayer, there's 8 additional unique multiplayer worlds, and in those multiplayer worlds, there's different types of games you can play. One is a demolition style team game. There's a hostage extract game and a team deathmatch. We have clan support, so you can have kind of some of the nice community aspects of online games where you can actually become a leader of a clan, go pick your favorite players, put together different clans. Then you can send out challenges to other clans and meet in a room and go play your various games and see who's the best clan.
Deep in the heart of the Santa Cruz Mountains stands the Brookdale Lodge, where people have come to escape the stresses of city life for the past century. But hidden behind its calm exterior lurks a much darker and more troubled past, beginning in the early 1900s when the owner's daughter was drowned in the brook that runs directly through the lodge's main dining room. Her ghost is said to wander the halls to this day. The Haunted Lodge was the perfect setting to introduce Tecmo's new horror survival game, Fatal Frame, where the heroine tries to solve the mystery of her brother's disappearance, only to find herself hounded by a host of dark spirits. It was a rainy night in mid-December when 7 North American journalists arrived at the lodge for a night of fun.
Happy hunting, guys!
I believe John Logan.
The night started off innocently enough as the guests were given a tour of the historic lodge by its proprietor.
This is actually the deep end of our swimming pool. It's 8 foot deep. They used to have mermaids swimming in here, and these mermaids would have numbers on them, and they were actually prostitutes. And men would come in here and select the mermaid they wanted, and there was underground tunnels that went across the street to the hotel across the street, and that was the brothel.
Things began to get decidedly more curious as the guests then settled in to hear local residents recount ghost stories from the lodge's rich history and not so distant past.
He died in room 46.
46. That's a terrible room.
I see dead people.
As the hour grew late, the journalists were informed that if they wanted to get their story, they had to stalk the dark halls of the lodge alone in order to find hidden clues about the game. One by one, the Ouija board chose the next victim.
Really scared. I'm the only one left here. I came here with 7 journalists and I can't find them anywhere. We sent them on a scavenger hunt and none of them have returned. I'm truly just really scared.
Those who found the clues retired to their rooms to play Fatal Frame, with a valuable prize awaiting the person who got the furthest in the game.
You spend like 3 hours trying to scare me, and then you expect me to sit there and play the game. We're scared to death.
You know, dead babies climbing all over me and stuff. And I was like, oh, no, you don't.
Did you sleep at all?
No. I had trouble putting the control down. Then I stayed up until the break of dawn.
So, Mark, for being the best Fatal Frame player, here's your reward.
The next morning revealed that all the journalists had survived through the evening, each with their own tale to tell. All except one, that is.
It was very successful. We found all of the editors, except for one, Zach. We still don't know where he is.
Who am I? You sure you want to know? If somebody told you I was just your average, ordinary guy, not a care in the world, somebody lied. Truth is, it wasn't always like this. There was a time when life was a lot less complicated. Can I take your picture for the school paper?
Sure. In this lab, we have 15 genetically enhanced super spiders.
There's 14. One's missing.
Peter, are you all right?
I'm fine.
Pete, look, you're changing. I know I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Wow.
Peter, may I introduce my father, Norman Osborn?
Great honor to meet you, sir.
Harry tells me you're quite the science whiz. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
What the hell is that? Whatever it is, somebody has to stop it.
With great power comes great responsibility.
This is my gift.
Wow.
It is my curse.
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Do I get to say thank you this time?
Do too much. You're not Superman, you know.
My name is Raymond Herrera. I play drums for Fear Factory. I've been a gamer since the age of 10. The thing about Fear Factory is everybody listens to different styles of music, but the foundation of this band is a very heavy band. So I guess we would be like a futuristic industrial metal band, I guess. When I'm on tour, I play every day. And this year I've been on tour since mid-January, so it's a lot of hours. Last night I was playing for like 8 hours straight, and I'll probably do that same thing tonight and the day after, so on. I would definitely have to say Ridge Racer because that was the game I got with the system. And I fell in love with that game right away. The entire Tekken series, the Street Fighter series, Metal Gear Solid, I mean even all the way back to Pac-Man, so I played pretty much everything. Test Drive 4, Test Drive 5, Test Drive Off-Road, Carmageddon, and we did Messiah, NFL Extreme, the frequency game, Cool Borders 2001, Test Drive Off-Road Wide Open, for PlayStation 2. I can't think of any more right now. I kind of drew a blank, but there's a lot of them. Yeah, this goes out to Jerry's and Papa Roach. When the frequency game comes out, you got to pick it up and master it because I beat you on Gran Turismo. You beat me on UFC, so now this is going to be the one that's going to really say who's better at what. He's a big gamer too, but I don't know. I'm going to have to say I'm better. It'd be really good to have a band with him, and then we just tour and just play games all day, so I'm gonna have to put together a gamer band.